Probably the most astounding headline of the week. Supermarket worker who drank 30 cans of Pepsi a day for 20 years has been cured after being hypnotised. Earlier I said 30 litres a day, just ignore me, 30 cans. Andy Pepsi, 41, drank up to 10 litres of full sugar Pepsi a day for 2 decades. That was a habit costing him around £20 a day, around £7,000 a year. You might be thinking, what the hell, and having a bit of a giggle, but it's no actual joking matter because Andy hit 19 stones. Doctors warned him he was at risk at diabetes. He was pre-diabetic. Now, he managed to lose a couple of those stones, but he still couldn't give up drinking Pepsi until that's where London-based therapist and hypnotist David Kilmurry comes into the picture, and he comes into the picture right now. David, thank you so much for joining me. So just tell us, Andy couldn't be with us because he is at work, but didn't Andy drink water or anything? Just tell me I can't get my head around how much of Pepsi he was drinking.
It was phenomenal. Trisha, thank you so much on behalf of Andy as well. I have spoken to him. Thank you for having me on. I'm a massive, massive fan of yourself and this show. It's amazing. And you always speak the truth and serve so many people out there. So thank you so much for that on behalf of everybody, Trisha. But on behalf of Andy, who's currently at work, yes, it was a deathly serious addiction. And my heart totally was with him and his wife, Sarah, who got in touch to say that Andy was in such a difficult state. He did drink water as well to try to counterbalance the effects of the Pepsi, which obviously in that amount is extremely dangerous, puts the body under a lot of pressure. And he was in a lot of trouble. Bless him. He struggled to get his words out at some points during the session. So yeah, I'm very proud of him.
No, so how did it start? Because I mean, apart from just drinking from the minute he woke up to the minute he went to sleep, did he tell you about how this obsession with Pepsi and drinking so much, how it actually started?
Well, yes. I mean, Andy worked on the night shift, and there's what we call a secondary gain or secondary reason to some of these addictions that we work with. And the secondary gain was they gave him a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a lift. Caffeine and the sugar in there was something that gave him a little bit of a lift when he was at work on the night shift. But you know, 1 can led into 2, led into 3, and led into 7, and then before you know it, he was out of control with it, and it was keeping him awake. But it was like the living dead, he said, and it stopped him from having real energy. All the energy was synthetic after a certain point of time. Bless him.
So you kind of get hooked on the high because you forget these drinks have caffeine in them. And so it becomes a habit. And as I said before, he put on a lot of weight and was actually pre-diabetic. So it's no joking matter, is it?
Absolutely not, no. I mean, it's good for Andy for braving the masses and putting his story out there. He told me yesterday that he wanted something to be said to inspire people just to express caution. Everything in moderation is fine, but express caution when giving children, in particular this Pepsi, because it is addictive, and Andy's proof of that. And you know, when you're gradually slipping into, I was likening it to like the wasp. The wasp can have a little sip in a can of Tango, but if it gets the Tango, whatever pop it is, over its wings and it's struggling, it's going to die. And that's what kind of state that Andy was in. He was really struggling, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get out of there. So he obviously made the right steps. In preparation for the session, he had to wean off. He can't just come off that much Pepsi at once. It's extremely dangerous. It can lead seizures. Oh,
you can't? What, you'd get headaches? You'd get headaches? Or what would happen if you just stopped immediately?
Seizures, fits. There's a...
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Well, it's a diuretic, so it draws the water out of the system. So your brain, if your brain is 84% water, drink enough Pepsi, it will take it down to 74% water. You can get throbbing headaches. And Andy was complaining of searing migraines, searing headaches, even though he was drinking almost his body weight in water every day to try to counteract it. It draws the water out of the body and makes you feel extremely lethargic afterwards. That's why you need it. It is an addiction. You feel like you actually do need it. So just as I said, to come back to, but once he's coated the wings of the wasp, it's going to struggle to get out there. And that being in that point with any addiction, and I have worked with every addiction known to man, from the hard drugs, crack and heroin, to addictions to things that some people might find laughable, which I'll probably hold back really in respect of my client's privacy. Really, in this case,
right. I was going to ask you for like a general thing without saying it, but apart from drugs, there are a lot of food addictions, aren't they? And we should say it's not just Pepsi that has caffeine in there, Coke and lots of other caffeinated drinks. Remember all of those ones like, Red Bull, there's lots and lots of them out there. So any of these, it could have been for, and it happened to be Pepsi. Can you tell us generally, I've heard children with addictions to crisps, for instance. I mean, are they some of the ones you've come across?
Yes, I have all sorts of people come in, obviously with absolute love and respect to all of our clients, and without judgment. So you can get addicted to pretty much anything. But once you get sugar's a big one. Sugar's a big one that across the board that you can get into, and things that you shouldn't do, should we say? So some things which are socially we're kind of against, things that you shouldn't do. People have like secret addictions sometimes to certain things, and feel the more internal you are with it, the more you're self-hypnotising, should we say? I shouldn't really do this. That kind of creates a little adrenaline.
So I was going to. The big question is, how do you treat that? Because I mean, when we hear about hypnotism, the thing we all picture is those movies where it's "look into my eyes, you are feeling sleepy." I mean, that's how most people think. They just go along and you'll wave a watch or something, and you will no longer drink Pepsi, and that's it. I'm pretty sure that's not the way it works, but that's what people think it is. Can you give us some indication of how it works? How many times somebody needs to come back, and how you hypnotise them without giving too many of your secrets away?
Well, there's no secrets here, Trisha, and God bless you. What a beautiful question as well, and I'm very impressed. It's a question that I have that I answer on several times a day, and I never get bored of answering the question. Am I going to be singing Elvis songs during the therapy session? Am I going to be quacking like a duck? No, not quite the case. When you self-hypnotise, when you've told yourself something, that's kind of the rule of thumb, shall we say, as to how I would work with somebody. And in answer to your question, what's involved in the session, there isn't any secrets. It's a therapy session. That's all it is. It's a therapy session where we talk to you about how you're talking to yourself. Yes, we set the date, like for addiction. We work with phobias and all sorts of other things, weight loss and recovery. I'm quite well known for working with domestic violence recovery, and famously have worked with a very well-known domestic violence survivor, Zoe Dronfield. But the way that it works is we set the date and we just make it happen on that day. It's a therapy session where we will you're preparing, you're contractualising in build up to the session anyway, and all of our clients come in, they come through the doors with an open mind and come in ready to relax. They've already been versed, as Andy was. Andy knew that he was going to have his final Pepsi in build up to the session, and he had his final Pepsi, and he hasn't had a drop since. So how does it? Do you need to know? You know more info. I mean, I can give you as much or as little on whatever level you want to know it at. But
well, just briefly before we run out of time. So they come back for numerous sessions, and you talk through with them. And I'm guessing you replace the voice in their heads, or the voice that drives us, with a different voice.
Yeah, it's a stronger, more powerful voice. I mean, Andy, to correct you there, sorry, my love, has only ever had one session. We had the phone conversation, and according to him, he had one Zoom session online, and that's been the end of that. Well, obviously, we do a little bit of aftercare where I stay in touch afterwards and stay close to see how we're getting on. But he's been discharged, and he's completely Pepsi free, and good for him. And he's celebrated with an article that's gone all the way over to America and Australia and wherever else. So extremely proud of him.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David. I mean, that it is absolutely fascinating. You've done absolutely amazing work. Hypnotist and therapist David Kilmurry there, talking about Andy, who gave up his 30 cans of Pepsi a day after one call. Wow.